So, hello everybody. I'm all lashed up here. Takes 10 minutes to put all this gear on. Family and friends, we're going to go for a ride, and we're going to discuss 2 months of ownership of the Aprilia Tuono. It's a warm day in San Diego. It's not a uber hot day, and which means that'll be a little more pleasant for your narrator, if not for you. But I suffered for my art, as the saying goes. Now it's your turn. Anyhow, let's start the little guy up. Not so little guy, as a matter of fact. Let's start it up. This ought to work on the camera. Stand by and listen as she goes to work. There we are. Oh my, I do love that sound. Okay, we're running, and we're going to keep this narrative going on. We got the kickstand kicked up. There we got a gear. Nice little clunk there. I've got a pretty steep driveway, and one of the issues is, although we are supposed to be in a slow speed region, there are people that come down this road fairly quick, and they like to hug that side of the roadway. And if I'm just sticking the nose of my bike out, one of the moms is going to pop the end of it off with her kids in the back screaming and yelling, saying, "Ma, I want ice cream," or "Give me home," whatever. So got to be a little aware of that. And we're rolling. This might be a little fun. Maybe, I'm not sure what's going to be encompassed in the overall view of the camera. But I've got my phone mounted on the mount and the GoPro running, the capture program running, and you might be able to see the video at the same time as I do. It's kind of interesting, like a picture-in-picture sort of thing. Oh, I'm speeding already. You're not supposed to do more than 25 miles an hour through here. But we can test that a little bit. We can go over 27 if we're really careful. So we'll just roll along. You got to roll with me on this one. Today's mission in the first place, as I just told you all, is to give you a 2 months update on ownership of an Aprilia Tuono. So this isn't going to be a fast ride. Second part of my mission is intensely personal, and that is, I am really hungry. So part of this is a quest for lunch. We're coming out of our little beautiful community where Wistful Vistas is located, called Santa Luz, Sacred Light, coming on to Camino del Sur, and the road, as you look down there, coming up, it's a little bit of a blind entry. They come along a big curve. I had one hand off the bar and accelerated, and this thing just wants to jump out and throw you off the back and run on, Big Thunder. Big Thunder, of course, is the name of the Tuono, and Tuono being thunder in Italian. So this is a 2017 RF factory model, Tuono Factory model, and I'm now ready to take it in for the break-in. I just haven't had the opportunity to do so. So 2 months of ownership, some pretty firm opinions have come through, and I'm going to hit my high points first of all. First of all, it's a really well-crafted machine. I mean, the details, as you look at some of the engineering details on this, are entirely noteworthy. Did a great job on fit and finish, putting things where they needed to be. Second, here it goes. Quick shifter. Love that quick shifter. It's really cool. Like it in both directions. Wasn't too sure I was gonna like it in both directions, but once you're used to it, it's one of those things that's gonna spoil you. You will end up liking it, as I do. I really do. I think it adds a a dimension to the machine and allows you to ride with concentration on the riding line, your surroundings, your situational awareness, a little more than you do perhaps without it. Here we go. Second to third. It just wants to rip. Rip. You can break the speed limit in this thing in first gear, so there's no worry about Okay, third thing is the handling. This just really handles well. You can set it over, and for a relatively large machine and a relatively heavy machine, 460 pounds thereabouts, wet, ready to go, is very nimble. Very nimble. When I take it up to some of my favorite roads, I'm not a track person, too old to track, but when I take it up to some of my favorite roads, it loves to turn and carve, and it's just got that feeling of being planted, so you really don't get a loose or, oh my god, I better watch out here, I'm going to end up in a lot of trouble feeling. I'm not going to lane split, I don't know about Blaine, don't even know anybody named Blaine. I'm not going to lane split because I want to take my time to talk to you on the way to lunch here. But it just has a very confidence-inspiring feeling as you're turning. So that translates into two things. One, more concentration again on what it is that you're doing. Secondarily, it can get you more speed, more velocity, because you're just not worried about it washing out and all that sort of thing. Good, bad there. You can definitely get in over your head on this machine, and you need to watch that, particularly as you're in unfamiliar territory, if you're riding roads you haven't been on before. So that's the next thing up. The other thing to mention is the oral soundtrack on this is just glorious. That motor is, I'm not tired of listening to it yet. I don't contemplate on changing out the exhaust system for a couple of reasons. One, it's expensive and it's still too new. Secondly, I'm an old guy. I'm going to use the clutch this time. I'm an old guy, and my ears are already pretty thrashed from any number of causes. Working in industry for many years, rock and roll, being yelled at by two wives, I mean, that just tears your eardrums out. So I don't need to work on damaging my hearing any more than it already is. By the way, ladies, that's meant as a joke. Don't get excited. So I don't contemplate on changing out that exhaust system, although I have to say, from viewpoint side, that's one of the least attractive parts of this motorcycle, which brings me to the last like on it, and that is, it is really good looking. People that don't even know motorcycles, these are very rare machines out in the wild, and people that don't know motorcycles will walk up and say, what in the world is that thing? Never saw one of those before, and chances are they're 100% correct. They've never seen one of them before. So that good-looking part of it is definitely a draw, and that's what gets people interested. But then the personality of the bike, which is the last thing I'm going to say, draws you in. This is a machine of some character. I think it's laden with character. It's got that Italian, what would you say, I guess you just can't put it into so many words, but it's got that Italian something about it that lends that mystique of really attractive construction. I'm going to go to Saboba Kitchen for my lunch, which is a Middle Eastern Mediterranean place and relatively healthy. So that's what we're going to do for lunch here. That Italian character just lends it a little bit of cachet, and people, I think that's part, people look at that, and I think that's part of what draws people in, although they don't recognize it, they don't realize it necessarily. I think I've had out of maybe 30 or 40 people that have just walked up just to take a look at it and say, hey, mister, what in the world is that thing? I've had 30 or 40 people walk up and say, I really like the look of that machine. That is really something. Because they're used to seeing Harleys. That's what you have around here. Let's find neutral. Come on, neutral, where are you? Usually that's not a problem. There we go. Got it. So we're going to shut it off here. And of that 20, 30 people, whatever that number is, probably, maybe 1 or 2 have said, oh, that's an Aprilia. I've heard of those. Wow, that's so cool. So they get it. They get it right away. But even a few of those have said, gee, where is Aprilia from? What country are they manufactured in? And we got all the bits and pieces here. So that's it for right now. I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to have lunch. As I said, that was the other part of this mission. And we'll finish the ride, and I'll talk a little bit on the way back to Wistful Vistas about maybe some things that are not the greatest on this machine, at least in terms of perhaps the owner experience. But that's all for now. Talk to you in a bit.